Right, hi again, everybody, and another little interview with one of the amazing speakers at our Ancestral Health Festival in Rainford in August in the UK, if anyone's watching this outside the UK. And this time we have my friend Stephen Thomas. And I'm going to ask you, Stephen, for people who don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
I am Stephen Thomas. That's right. I have an honours degree in physiology and health sciences. My journey into health depends where you want to start. Personally, without much knowledge, I started off semi-professional soccer player. I've won a singles tournament in tennis, middle distance running, so all these sort of athletic things. But I was also told at 23 that I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 50 because I was shown a very convincing image from a very convincing consultant that my hips were on the way out, because I did all the sports. And here I am at 60, still playing soccer 3 times a week. So I think they got that one slightly wrong. But I got really interested in rehab when I did get a little bit of back pain. And in my 40s, none of the advice seemed to be really right. I spoke to an osteopath and they gave me a different take on back pain, which I thought was really interesting. And I also qualified to become a personal trainer. And then I wanted to be an advanced personal trainer. And one of the clients there was type 1, and she was trying to get to the Olympics. And she was a type 1 diabetic. And I wanted to actually have her as a client. So I went off and I learned all about diabetes and obesity and became a specialist practitioner in those two fields and took in a field. She was outstanding in her field. She actually did get to the Olympics. So I was really pleased about coaching her. And my love of knowledge and common sense kept prevailing. And I noticed that as I started seeing more and more diabetics, the ones that were doing really well, were ignoring my advice. So I would ask them what they're doing, and it was low carb. Invariably, it was low carb. And for my own health, it was going south. I had lower left quadrant pain. I had constant skin problems. Athlete's foot was niggling me. I had a coronary artery calcium scan of 639. All these are good things, aren't they? I was getting tubbier. I was getting less fit. And yet I was really active, doing at least 10 miles running 3 times a week, and I was eating all the right foods. So the point of that is I knew that something was wrong. So I started looking at my obesity and diabetes qualification, thought I need to do more. So then I did a honours degree in physiology and health sciences, and also qualified as a phlebotomist and opened up a private practice for labs for bloods. And that was like a real big turning point because all of those things gelled together. I had everything. I had all the exercise literature, I had the obesity, the diabetes, and I also had the bloods. And I was in contact with doctors who were interpreting the bloods in an incorrect manner because what we were seeing in the numbers was not what we were seeing in the patients. So I realized that everything was upside down and 180 away from where it should be. So I know it's corny, but I realized that all these qualifications lead me to the assumption that whatever the guidelines say, we should do the opposite. So that's what I've been doing. I went low carb when I was 50. When I was about 53, I went keto, and at 55, I became a carnivore coach working under the guidance of Dr. Sean Baker at MeetRx, which was a fantastic experience. And I've had over 1,000 clients since then. I over 200 video success stories, and it's been brilliant, and that's what I like to talk about. And the last talk we did was about bloods. I do have an example of a blood panel if you'd like to see, and just to give you an example of how wrong everyone can be. But if we haven't got time, I won't screen share it. But I think you might be interested. But it gets across how I talk and how I think.
No, that's brilliant. No, just leave them wanting more, Stephen. Leave them wanting
Okay.
more because I'd love to know what the talk that you did at our War on Health conference in the Peak District earlier this year was amazing on the bloods, just how wrong people can get it. What are you going to be speaking about at this one in August?
Well, I'm going to talk about stable isotope testing. Oh, wow. Everyone's like so excited. They can't wait.
More
Actually,
interesting than you think.
well,
Yeah,
that's exactly it. I
yeah.
want to get into the nitty gritty of what that actually means, why that is important. So anyone that says this isn't the way we should be eating, you can give them the science, but you can also explain the science to them. I do also want to touch on ChatGPT and all those sort of search engines and explain that when you're researching, you have to interrogate them. You have to interrogate the AI or whatever you're using, Google, because they are presenting to you information which is narrative based, not science based. And I'll just give you a great example. When I was doing the presentation, just putting it together for the talk, I wanted to get a percentage of animal fats and proteins compared to plant-based material from all the stable isotope testing. And the first answer that ChatGPT gave me was, well, it's about 80% plants. It said that. And I just interrogated it and said, I think you might have this wrong, because all the research I've got, and I quoted a couple of research papers, seems to be 80% animal fats and proteins. And it literally said, I do apologize for the confusion. You're absolutely correct, especially in the Paleolithic period. That's what the research shows. Now, who goes to that extra level? Nobody. And that's partly why I want to do this talk, partly also why I did the Bloods talk, is because what the perceived wisdom is and what the truth is are two different things, but you can scratch that surface and find out for yourself. And I want to teach people how to look at the opposing views and say, right, okay, can we query this, and can we drill down a little bit more and actually see what the common sense is? And of course, common sense is there's plants and fruits and vegetables are not available all year round. How would humans have coped? And if you look at every continent, every sort of period of time, the way humans survived was eating animal proteins, predominantly animal proteins, animal fats. And that makes total sense, because animals are there 24/7 and Apple isn't. I mean, it really is that simple. You've got to be just common sense about it and look at hunters for today and think to yourself, right, okay, what are they thriving on? And it just makes total sense. But understanding the science and what stable isotope testing actually is, how they look at teeth, how they look at long bones, how they can, get the right migratory patterns for humans to see where they live, your haplotype, and all this sort of stuff. We can get into the science, but the bottom line is understanding why we eat this way, and why that has actually made our health so much better than eating predominantly plants, which does not seem to be doing well.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's so many of these studies are just funded by all the nonsense food companies and pharma, and to see through them, just look at the ancestry, look at where we came from. So what do you think is the main things that people are going to get out of live events? What's so important about live events, do you think, rather than sort of stuff online?
Well, when I've done live events, both as a consumer, that's like turning up, watching other people, and speaking myself, obviously you get access to, I hate the term, but let's say experts or influencers or people you want to speak to. So that's the first thing, because if you're doing a presentation for an hour, then afterwards you can grab them and say, you mentioned XYZ. I'd really like to know a bit more about that. And that's good. I mean, the human contact is one of the things. Obviously, it's good for networking. For me as an individual, it's nice to meet other people that you've seen online, both people that you're coaching. I was really pleased at the last PHC thing, as I turned up as an attendee, meeting people that I actually coach online. Meeting them in the flesh is really good. I think access to sort of the latest research, because obviously if there's something hot off the press, I'll be able to speak about it, and so will the other people there. It's not going to be, oh, this is from 1965, because it's not that relevant. Although that is, I mean, there still is relevance, to be honest, because autopsies from 400 years ago are relevant. So are autopsies from 300 years ago, 200 years ago, because heart disease you can definitely see. And they didn't see heart disease in autopsies until about 1911. So anyway, that's a thing. I do find they're inspirational, both when you're speaking and also when you're attending. Very inspirational, very motivational as well, when you hear different voices that maybe you've not been exposed to. And I think nothing beats somebody getting up there, seeming to know their stuff and giving you lots of great information. And it's just a fun event. I mean, it can be quite a laugh. It's one of those things where when you're on camera, you might not be as candid. So that's also good. And there are questions that people ask when we're on our YouTube live, for instance, we can't answer because we'll be taken off the platform, which is terrible. So it's great to be able to speak honestly, openly, and face to face with real people.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Stephen. And if anybody wants to find out more, then there's a link below. There's all the activities there. There's little videos with the other speakers, full podcast episodes as well with Stephen and the other speakers, and all the details of how to book and all the other stuff that's going on. So hope to see a load of you there, and looking forward to seeing you too, Stephen. And thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me on. I look forward to it.